Program of South Africa to assist artists and sports personalities to beat their substance abuse addictions. One of those young musicians whose life was changed by Hugh is Kabelo, who's sitting here with me. So good to see you. Welcome. It's so nice to have you here talking about this great legend, you know, that is no longer. I know you loved him. I know that. Yeah.
You know, yesterday I phoned my mom, and she didn't know. It was all over the news. And I was like, you know, Bra Hugh's gone now. And she couldn't believe it because, you know, there's a connection between Bra Hugh, myself and my mom. When I was still in the clutches of addiction and, you know, substance abuse, you know, my mom wanting to, you know, help in any way she could and, you know, being a desperate mother, heard of Bra Hugh's story, and she started looking for Bra Hugh frantically. And it's actually till yesterday, because I've always thought my mom had a connection to Bra Hugh through friends. But yesterday when we spoke about it, she's like, he didn't know me from above. So
wow.
I knew someone who knew him, and I just, you know, I reached out to him, and she said he didn't even think twice. He said, I'll be there whenever you want me to be there because I understand the seriousness of addiction and we really need to get to, you know, helping your son. And I guess it did help that he also knew who I was at the time. My mom didn't tell me that Bra Hugh was going to be there in the intervention. I remember walking in, it was at a hotel in Sandton, and I was very upset. Because I thought my mom was telling, you know, people my business and stuff. But Bra Hugh spoke to me very sternly that day. You know, told me that if I don't change my life, you know, I'm gonna either end up in a jail or in an institution or die. And I must say, 6 months went by and I was still a bit angry. You know, who's Bra Hugh coming to tell me and all that stuff. But it was a watershed moment for me that day because it just showed the seriousness of the issue and the lengths my mom was willing to go to. And as fate would have it, after 6 months when I got over myself, you know, Bra Hugh had started MAPSA, as you mentioned. He hooked me up with my first counselor, Janine Lewin, who, you know, started taking me through my paces before I went through to rehab. And Bra Hugh was a constant feature, you know. Walking the road, even when I came out of rehab, he was at the press conference.
Wow.
So
I mean, he's been a part of your journey, almost kind of like a father figure to you in a way.
Very
But
true.
I mean, this year has been somewhat of a double whammy for you because you were also very close to Masekela.
Yes.
So I mean, it's just we are losing these legends. Look, a life well lived, Masekela, 94 years old.
These two full lives, you know, Papa Willie and Bra Hugh have lived very, very full lives.
They have, they really have.
And it almost feels as if, you know, I know a few people were a bit scared to tell Bra Hugh of Papa Willie's passing, but I think they actually got around to doing it. And I think that really took the wind out of his sails because very soon afterwards, you know, we sit here today talking about him being departed.
I mean, I know that there's so much you can talk about him, and especially with the addiction side. But he was always willing to help wherever he could help, and is particularly an advocate for what is wrong. And in every single, and I know from working with you on the Shout Initiative, Bra Hugh was there with his trumpet, pulsing out and being the face of this anti-crime movement as well.
Till his dying day, Bra Hugh always believed that music, you know, can be used as, you know, a tool, a conduit to get across a message that changes or affects social ill. So when Danny and I reached out to him to be involved in the Shout campaign, I remember we were shaking in our pants like, oh my God, Bra Hugh, you know, Bra Hugh's this international superstar. Is he going to want to be part of our campaign? Didn't even bat an eyelid. He said, I'm going to be there. Tell me when you want to be there, when you want me to be there.
That's it. I mean, this guy, it didn't matter. I'll never forget whenever I'd see him, and I think you can attest to this, he would come and he's like, I don't know, he would be doing Tai Chi or yoga or something. He'd be standing with a group of youngsters, but he was the fittest in the crowd. Yeah. I don't know what it is. He had such a vibe about him that it was contagious. It was infectious. Yeah. You were telling me about his last performance. You were watching him on stage.
I was watching this his last performance. I thought it to myself. I didn't want to say it. I was watching it with my wife, but in myself, I just said, you know what, this is going to be one of his last performances. It was on the other channel, and they were honoring Bra Hugh. And it was a live show, and you know, usually with live shows you get a certain amount of time to perform, but Bra Hugh broke protocol that day. The music stopped and he started talking to everybody, you know, about, I can't remember, but it was, you know, I think it was about music and our history as South Africans and us needing to own being African. It was kind of along those lines.
Yeah.
And, you know, I heard the story afterwards that producers were running to the channel heads like, oh, what do we do? Bra Hugh's going overtime. And they were said, listen, you don't kick Bra Hugh off stage. And then Bra Hugh carried on, finished off, you know, the music, and it was,
and that was it.
That performance was definitely for the books.
Yeah, well, and that's probably, he knew in his head, I'm going to bask in this one, because I'm not sure I'm going to get it again.
For sure.
Kabelo, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank
you so much for being with us here on the program, reminiscing, and just sharing those memories of Bra Hugh Masekela. Let's take a break here on the program. We'll be bringing you headlines and then sports news. Stay tuned.